This podcast is powered by the pros at Paschal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPaschal.com.
Morning, Bob. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm well. How are you guys?
I'm all right. Had a couple days to just kind of kick around, not worry about things too much. You've been writing. You've been covering track championships. What's going on there?
Well, yeah, the track meets out in Eugene, Oregon. It's on ESPN2 the next couple nights and ESPN on Saturday. Yeah, they do the men Wednesday and Friday, and the women start today and conclude Saturday. Yeah, it was a rough night, honestly, for the Razorbacks last night. Wayne Pinnock, who's a three-time long jump champion, got fifth. Not bad, All-American, but they were expecting a win, and Patrick Kiprock was right there in second place at 10K with about 2.5 laps to go. A guy came up on him, tripped him from behind, accidental, obviously ran up on him, however you want to put it, and he went down and managed to get up and get an eighth, but that didn't go well. And Philip Lemonius, their defending champion in 110 hurdles, didn't advance. James Benson, who was, I think, ranked 6th in the 400, didn't advance. So not a good night. I was thinking they were out of those guys I just was talking about. You were thinking maybe they'd get 20 points, and they're going to get 5. So honestly, it's going to be really hard for them to win the national championship after what happened last night. Don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, just the way it went.
Well, I guess that's how it goes out sometimes. It's kind of how it went this last weekend for Arkansas baseball. It's a little bit of a backslide this year, and man, I guess maybe you could see the foundation shaking. Maybe a little bit about a month before the season came to an end, when starting pitching started to founder a little bit, and you had a rotation of 3, then you were down to a rotation of 1. I still feel, Bob, like Arkansas, if they could have won last Saturday, might have been able to continue to advance, but can't lose the games that Hagen Smith pitches. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, like you say, the rotation. Brady Tiger wasn't even on the roster. I guess he'd had some soreness. You hope it's nothing more serious than that, or with him being draft eligible and everything. And Mason Molina, he'd had a couple good bullpen outings, but didn't have a good start against Southeast Missouri State. I think when Gabe Gackle had to come in and pitch 3 innings against Southeast Missouri State, that was kind of a sign that, man, this could be a rough weekend. But you're right. If Hagen Smith pitches his usual game, which is, say, lights out, they win Saturday night, and then I think they have a great shot to win that regional, because then they just have to win one more game, and then they're sitting here waiting for, I guess, Virginia to come. But it didn't happen. You have to give Kansas State credit for having a great approach against Hagen and working a couple walks, getting a couple, kind of CNI singles or balls that bounced over the guys. Those are still hits. And then obviously Culpepper, their great shortstop, got the big 3-run home run. And, if somebody said Hagen Smith was going to give up 6 earned runs in an inning, I would have said what were they drinking or smoking or both or whatever. But it happened. It was just a really bad time for the best pitcher in the country to have not just a bad start, but really a bad inning, because those 4 innings before that, he was striking guys out and looking like his usual self. And it was just, but yeah, when Arkansas lost that game, it was going to be very tough, and give SEMO credit for beating them the next day. But I think Arkansas just didn't have, I think it was very hard for them to come back and play after losing to Kansas State like they did with their ace on the mound.
Hey, Bob, who do you got winning Omaha this year? I know a lot of people kind of think that curse might be broken of what's it been, 25 years since the number 1 seed has won it. Who do you got winning it this year?
Yeah, I think 1999 Miami. Tennessee is the number 1 seed, and they're playing lights out. I don't think it's a cakewalk against Evansville within the Super Regional. Obviously Tennessee is heavily favored, but I guess I got to go with Tennessee and our guy Tony Vitello. Tony's a Mizzou grad, and he coached here at Arkansas. And I know him and Dave got into it, whatever that was, a couple of years ago. But I think that's all patched up, and so I'm going to go with Tennessee. You figure the number 1 seed has to win sometime, but I think it's pretty wide open, honestly. But if I had to pick a team, I'd go with Tennessee.
Man, if I was picking somebody to root for, just for the only reason, just to get rid of these curses that we talk about, I would root for Tennessee, just to get this number 1 thing over with. But I really have a tough time going there. Maybe I'll root for Oregon State. the program that doesn't know how they're going to schedule the team next year, how they're actually going to have a baseball program without a league to play in. That's who I'll root for. I'll root for the little guy. And right now in major college sports, if we're looking at like power teams, Oregon State still is, for the time being, they're the last vestige of the Pac-12. When they're done, then it's over. Then they're no longer a power team, Bob.
Yeah, you got Oregon State and Washington State. I was telling somebody about this from Oregon at the track regionals last week, or a couple weeks ago, that at the Pac-12 track meet, there was a lot of talk about, this is the last Pac-12 track meet. Well, there's still going to be a Pac-12. I guess it's going to be Washington State and Oregon State and some combination of Mountain West teams. But obviously the Pac-12, as we know it, is going away. And that's sad in a lot of ways. I mean, think about if you're watching women's softball, the Women's College World Series, you got Texas and OU. So is that a Big 12 matchup, or is that an SEC matchup? Because obviously they're both still in the Big 12. I guess when this series ends, they're in the SEC. I mean, Texas know you're at the SEC meeting, so just a lot of crazy stuff going on. And I think it's funny. I don't know how many Arkansas fans could root for Oregon State, and I know some some fans love Tony, some fans don't like Tony. You've got another former Arkansas assistant, an Arkansas native, in West Johnson in Georgia. They're in a super regional against NC State, I think it is. So you do have a couple Arkansas connections. Obviously, people would rather have the Razorbacks in the super regionals, but you do have a couple Arkansas connections in there.
Yeah, I think I'll go with Oregon. I'll stay in the Pac-12. They're playing A&M, so I'll go for somebody to beat A&M. Hey, Bob, are you will you be paying attention? NBA Finals Game 1. Well, I mean, I guess we can get to this Dan Hurley stuff first if you want to. Do you think Dan Hurley is he going to be the next Lakers coach?
Man, I saw that on.
Are you surprised? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm shocked. I mean, he's got obviously a very good thing going at UConn. On the one hand, I'm sure he could stay there for the rest of his life and win at a high level. Would he win some more national championships? Maybe. No guarantee with all the craziness in college sports these days. And UConn, one thing, college sports is really based so much on TV, football TV revenue now. And UConn's...
They were 45th. They were 45th last year in basketball operations, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, is what he's doing at UConn sustainable? Is moving forward with NIL and the transfer portal and everything else. I mean, there's such kids are, schools and the NCAA are getting sued left and right. They're employees now. There's this, they're going to be paying, can UConn afford to be paying back pay $20 million a year for the next 10 years? I mean, there's a lot of variables in there. And also, he really has nowhere to go but down at UConn. He's won the last 2 national titles, and I could try to be the first coach, I guess, since John Wooden won 6 in a row. I could try to become the first coach to win 3 straight national championships in men's basketball, and that's certainly a worthy goal to chase after. But, he's still, I think he's in his late 40s maybe, so he's still relatively young by coaching standards. And I haven't seen the contracts, but I'm sure the Lakers are going to throw a pile of money at him, probably more than UConn or any college could afford, especially in today's economic reality. And so if he goes to the Lakers, he's got 2 stars in LeBron James and Anthony Davis, obviously aging stars, but there's something for you to build around for the next couple of years maybe, and then see what happens. And let's face it, if he goes to the Lakers and falls on his face, he's going to make a ton of money either way. And then he's going to be the hottest commodity in college basketball, kind of like Billy Donovan. I mean, Billy Donovan could have had the Kentucky job, I think. Or if Billy Donovan decided to go back to college basketball, he'd get an A1 job tomorrow. And he's done okay in the NBA. He hadn't won a title, but he's had some good teams. The Bulls, were not good this past year. But, college coaches going to the NBA has kind of been a mixed bag. And you've had a guy like Eric Musselman who did it the other way and went from the NBA to college and has had a lot of success. So, I did not see that one coming, but I certainly can. I mean, kudos to everybody for keeping a secret in this day and age. But certainly, if I can see him going to the Lakers, I can see why he would do it. Because, on the one hand, like I say, he's got a really nice thing going at UConn, a great thing going, but maybe he's looking for a new challenge, and certainly the Lakers would represent that. And also, he's not following Phil Jackson or Pat Riley with the Lakers. He's, all due respect to Darvin Ham, he's following a coach who got fired. not a coach who's won a bunch of championships. So there's a lot of upside I can see from Dan Hurley. I don't want to say it's no risk, but like I say, if he goes there, he's going to make a ton of money, and if it doesn't work out, he'll be the hottest commodity in college basketball.
Hey, Bob, so this last athletics calendar, when you look at really from soccer all the way to baseball, with a couple of exceptions, gymnastics being one of them, volleyball being another, in terms of on-field success and what programs did in the postseason if they made it there, there were steps backward in a lot of cases. In all the teams that we talk about here, there were steps backward. Football, men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball all had less success than the year before, mostly in regular season victories for baseball in terms of how far they went in the postseason. That's 2 years in a row. There's been a little bit of a backslide. I think this next season is really important just to try to get some of the mojo going forward. And I think in basketball that'll happen. I mean, baseball, we don't know what the team's going to look like. We have no clue. Like 4/5 of them are gone. We just expect they're going to win. Hopefully 2024-25 involves maybe an uptick instead of a little bit of a downtick.
Yeah, I mean, that Dave Van Horn's kind of a victim of his own success, right? That he wins the SEC West for the fifth time in 6 years and is a not number one seed, but top 8 seed, and has an incredible regular season. But now baseball is becoming more like basketball. I think especially in an elite program like Arkansas, what you do in the regular season is really dwarfed by what you do in the postseason. It's like, LSU, didn't have a good regular season. I think at one point they were 3-9, but they made the NCAA tournament. They almost went to a super regional. So LSU fans are probably happier now than they were a month ago, right? And then you look at South Carolina, they fired Mark Kingston, their coach, because he did okay, but he didn't meet the standards that Ray Tanner had set by winning national championships. Mark Kingston, I think he got to 2 super regionals, including one here where Arkansas beat him, and so South Carolina, that's a marquee opening right there, And so there's more pressure than ever on coaches to win. And, Dave Van Horn, I think it's safe to say he's safe until he decides to retire. But he's created really super-duper high expectations. And, they invest a lot of money in facilities. Dave's very well paid. I think he's worth every penny of it. And a lot of these coaches are very well paid now in baseball. And so, but yeah, the pressure's on for Arkansas because, they, not to get out of your own regional 2 years in a row, that's certainly not the expectation.
Well, it feels like, I think, Matt has a list of things here on our rundown. And there's something you put here, Matt, that I think is probably right. The highlight of the year for athletics is hiring Coach Cal. It's nothing that happened on the field, right? I mean, that's the thing that got Arkansas probably the biggest national spotlight in a positive way is hiring John Calipari.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. A huge story and, a huge get for Arkansas. And, after a tough year, the team loses and then Eric Musselman has been a very successful coach, leaves. And even though the season didn't go as expected, I think a lot of people we're sad to see Eric leave because he'd had so much success. He'd taken Arkansas to the Elite Eight back-to-back years where they had not been since the back-to-back Final Fours in 94, 95 when they won it all and got to the title game again in 95. And so, but then you hired John Calipari, and it's just such a big splash, And I will say this, women's track, I know track and field is not as high on the radar, but the women did win the indoor championship, Chris Johnson's first year, and I think they've got a really good shot to win outdoors in Eugene. So they still could get a title. Arkansas could still win a title in Eugene. I just don't think it'll be the men. And the women, there's no guarantee, but they could bring it home. But yeah, Matt makes a great point there about Cal. That's a huge. That's the biggest storyline in college basketball. I think that's fair to say.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.